It was a crisp, golden Friday morning when Tom got the kind of news that flips your world upside down. For as long as he could remember, he'd trusted his wife, Sarah, implicitly. No second guesses, no doubts. They'd been together for 8 years. Sure, their marriage had its bumps, but at the heart of it, there was trust. Or so he believed, until now. Lately, Sarah had been spending more hours at the office, claiming she was juggling a stack of extra projects. Tom didn't pry when she explained that the late nights were because of a demanding new client. He took her at her word. But little things began to gnaw at him. Odd details that didn't sit right. Her sudden fixation on her appearance, the hushed tones during late-night calls, and the way she guarded her phone like a secret diary. Then came the announcement, a business trip to Miami with her team. 1 week away. She'd been dropping hints about it for weeks, talking up how critical it was for her career, how much was riding on it. Wanting to be the supportive husband, Tom didn't press. He smiled, nodded, played the part. Still, deep down, something itched at him. A quiet, persistent whisper that something wasn't adding up. The night before she left, she seemed oddly distant, detached, like she was already somewhere else. And when he embraced her at the airport, he felt it. Her body stiff, her warmth gone. The hug wasn't theirs. It was hollow, almost like she couldn't get away fast enough. A few days later, Tom's phone rang. It was Jessica, one of Sarah's coworkers. She wasn't supposed to be on the trip, but apparently she'd caught wind of something troubling and felt it was only right to come forward. "I hate to be the one to say this," Jessica said softly, her voice laced with unease. "But Sarah didn't go on any business trip. She went on a getaway with Mark. You know, the guy from our department? They've been seeing each other for months." The words landed like a punch to the gut. Tom's heart slammed in his chest, his thoughts blurred into static, and for a moment, it felt like the floor had been yanked out from under him. Unable to ignore the storm building inside, Tom dove into the truth. He scoured her emails, dug through her social media, even pulled up her phone records. And just like Jessica said, every bit of it checked out. The late nights, the trip, the secrecy, all part of an elaborate lie. Sarah and Mark had been having an affair for quite some time, and this so-called work trip was nothing more than a romantic escape. He felt like throwing up. A cocktail of heartbreak and fury churned inside him. How could she? How could she look him in the eye and spin such a seamless lie? But instead of confronting her in a haze of anger, Tom did something unexpected. He took a step back. He needed space, a moment to breathe, to think clearly through the heartbreak. His mind replayed the years they'd shared, the quiet mornings, the laughter, the promises, the trust they'd built brick by brick. And now, it had all crumbled. She had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. This wasn't just a mistake. It was betrayal in its rawest form. So Tom made a decision. Sarah would come home to a very different reality. While she sunned herself on Miami's beaches, he was back home, changing the locks on the house. He took time off from work, boxed up every one of her belongings, and stacked them neatly in the garage. It wasn't easy. There were moments when he collapsed into old memories, sitting on the floor with a photo album in hand, tears tracing down his face. But he didn't let grief win. not this time. The final blow came when Sarah sent him a photo from her conference in Miami. She claimed she was with colleagues, networking, learning, all the usual corporate fluff. But in the background of the picture, Mark, shirtless, on a beach towel beside her. That was it. Tom let out a bitter laugh. He knew exactly what she'd be walking into. And then the day finally came. Her suitcase rolled up the driveway like nothing had changed. But the door didn't open because the locks were new. Confused, she reached for her phone and called him. No answer. Again, nothing. After several attempts, Tom finally picked up. His voice, like ice. I know, Sarah. I know about everything. Mark, the lies, the betrayal. Your stuff's in the garage. I've already filed for divorce. And just like that, he hung up. No more questions. No more chances. Just silence. Sarah stood frozen on the front porch, her suitcase by her side, tears slipping down her cheeks as reality crashed over her. The truth hit hard. She'd destroyed the life they'd built, and now there was no way to take it back. Tom, meanwhile, wasn't looking back. He'd already met with a lawyer, filed the paperwork, and set the wheels in motion. This chapter was over. Final. The divorce was rough, messy, emotional, but Tom never wavered. Sarah, surprisingly, didn't try to stop him. Deep down, she knew she'd shattered something that couldn't be repaired. There was no undoing the damage. And Tom, he found a strange kind of peace in the process. Yes, it hurt. Of course it did. But every step forward was a step away from the lies and closer to clarity. That part of his life was over, and it had to be. As the months rolled by, Tom slowly began putting the pieces of himself back together. He threw himself into his work, reconnected with old friends he'd drifted from, and gave himself permission to heal. Some days were harder than others, but with time, the weight on his chest began to lift. He stopped seeing himself as the man who'd been cheated on, and started seeing himself as the man who'd taken his life back when everything fell apart. Then, unexpectedly, life surprised him. He met someone new. She was gentle, grounded, and never pressured him to move faster than he was ready for. They started off slowly, small talks, coffee dates, walks that stretched into hours. But for the first time in what felt like forever, Tom felt something stir inside him. Hope, maybe even joy. He realized that the end of his marriage, as painful as it had been, had cleared the path for a new kind of love. One built on honesty, patience, and mutual respect. He wasn't the same man he'd been with Sarah. This version of Tom knew what he wanted and what he'd never settle for again. And Sarah? Well, things didn't work out with Mark. Whatever spark they'd shared fizzled under the weight of guilt and the harsh light of reality. It ended almost as quickly as it had begun, leaving Sarah alone with nothing but the echo of her choices. Regret, it turns out, doesn't make for good company. Meanwhile, Tom moved forward. He wasn't chasing happiness. It found him. In the quiet, in the peace, in the love he never saw coming. Sure, betrayal had torn his world apart, but it also handed him something unexpected. A clean slate, a second chance. And honestly, that was the best ending he could have asked for.